Shade growled and shrugged his shoulders as he stretched. He had reviewed his memories of the patrol so he could get an ID on the criminal known as Casus. This was going to have to be public and messy if he wanted to get the word out that anyone who killed him in the future better leave his gun right where they found it. For the past few months, the rumors about him had spread slowly, and he hadn't really addressed them. But the past few days made him realize something important. He needed to use his condition to his advantage if he was going to make his life any easier. Something evil was clearly going on in the depths of the city. All that black blood had to be coming from somewhere, and it seemed to be making the criminals bolder than ever. Hell, that Casus had even said killing the Shade would make him famous. It wasn't a good sign that criminals thought they could get away with something like that. If the lawless didn't respect the law itself, then they would need to fear those who brought the law to them, or more accurately, those who killed them in the name of the law. The lift opened, and he stepped out into the grey market, the gateway to the part of the city he spent the most time in. After his display at the start of the patrol, he noticed everyone glance at him as he stepped out. People pulled away to open up a path for him, leading to the lifts across the way, which he expected. But then, for the first time, some of the stall owners approached him. They had trinkets or bits of information to sell, things they thought a revenant might find useful. They seemed hesitant, unsure if he would lash out, but they still approached. A vendor held out a glowing data chip. Information, Shade. On new threats? Uncommon tech? Shade simply stared at him for a moment, making the vendor visibly nervous. Then, he took the chip, scanned it quickly with his internal systems, and handed it back without a word. The vendor blinked, surprised. He's not interested, another vendor whispered, nudging his friend. Shade ignored them, walking towards a weapons stall. He picked up a heavy energy rifle, feeling its balance. It wasn't his magnum, but it was a decent weapon. He examined the workmanship. You know, for a revenant, you're not very talkative, the stall owner, a grizzled old alien with multiple cybernetic implants, remarked. Shade just grunted, testing the rifle's weight. He decided against it. He already had his magnum, and no other weapon felt quite right. He left the stall without buying anything, leaving the owner scratching his head. He continued his walk through the market. He noticed the fear in the eyes of the criminals, the respect in the eyes of the ordinary citizens. This was good. This was the fear he wanted to instill. He needed to be a legend, a terrifying force that kept the underworld in line. Shade made his way to the back alleys, a place where information flowed like murky water. He stopped at a shadowy corner, where a small, hunched figure, known as the Whisper, was always found. The Whisper was a data broker, known for knowing everything about everyone, especially in the criminal underworld. Shade, the Whisper's voice was a raspy whisper, barely audible. I expected you sooner. News travels fast here. Casus, Shade stated, getting straight to the point. Where is he? The Whisper chuckled, a dry, rattling sound. Ah, Casus. The one who thinks he's made a name for himself. He's hiding, deep in the lower sectors. He's been bragging about killing you, you know. I heard, Shade growled. Where, exactly? The Whisper leaned closer, his eyes gleaming in the dim light. He's at the Crimson Spire, a new underground fighting arena. Thinks he's safe there. Boasting about his victory. Shade nodded, a dangerous glint in his eye. Thank you. He turned to leave, but the Whisper stopped him. One more thing, Revenant. There are whispers of a new drug circulating in the lower sectors. Something far more potent than synth. They call it shadow dust. It makes users incredibly aggressive, fearless, and it seems to be connected to the black blood. Shade paused. Black blood. The same black blood he'd seen when he was last killed. This was interesting. Where does it come from? Unknown, the Whisper replied, but it's spreading like wildfire, and it's turning ordinary criminals into fanatics. Shade's mind began to connect the dots. The bolder criminals, the black blood, the new drug. This wasn't just random crime. This was something organized, something more sinister. Keep your ears open, Shade commanded, then continued his way to the Crimson Spire. As he moved through the city's underbelly, the air grew heavier, filled with the stench of poverty and desperation. He saw the effects of the new drug, users with vacant eyes, their bodies twitching uncontrollably, their faces contorted in madness. This was a growing problem, a plague spreading through the lower sectors. He reached the Crimson Spire, a massive, imposing structure built into the city's underground. The entrance was guarded by burly, tattooed aliens, their eyes hard and suspicious. "Entry denied," one of the guards grunted, blocking his path. Shade simply stared at him, his blue eye glowing with an intense, intimidating light. The guard hesitated, a flicker of fear in his eyes. He had heard the rumors about the Shade. "I'm here for Casus," Shade said, his voice low and dangerous. The guard swallowed hard, then stepped aside. "He's in the main arena, celebrating." Shade walked into the Crimson Spire. The interior was a vast, chaotic space, filled with cheering crowds, the roar of fighting, and the smell of blood and sweat. In the center, a large arena pulsed with energy, where two fighters were locked in a brutal combat. He scanned the crowd, his eyes narrowed. Then he saw him, Casus. He was at a VIP booth, surrounded by his cronies, laughing, boasting, holding up a crude drawing of Shade being killed. "That's him," Shade growled. He began to push through the crowd, a towering figure of grim determination. People scattered before him, sensing the danger radiating from him. The cheering died down, replaced by murmurs of fear and awe. Casus saw him, his eyes widened, and his triumphant grin vanished, replaced by a look of pure terror. It's the Shade," Casus stammered, scrambling to his feet. He's back." Shade ignored the terrified shouts, his focus solely on Casus. He reached the booth, and with a swift, powerful move, he grabbed Casus by the throat, lifting him effortlessly. "You took something of mine," Shade's voice was a low rumble of thunder, "and you bragged about killing me." Casus struggled, his face turning purple. I didn't know, I swear." "You will learn to respect the dead," Shade snarled, "and the Reborn." He slammed Casus onto the table, making it crack. Casus's cronies, frozen in fear, didn't dare interfere. "Where did you get the idea to kill me?" Shade demanded, his grip tightening. "Who put you up to it?" Casus gasped for air, his eyes wide with terror. I just heard the rumors about the black blood and the new drug." Shade released him slightly. "The black blood, the shadow dust, tell me everything." Casus, desperate to save himself, began to babble. He spoke of whispers in the underworld, of a shadowy organization that was providing the black blood and the new drug, turning ordinary criminals into fearless, violent fanatics. He spoke of a figure known only as the Architect, who was orchestrating this entire operation. "The Architect," Shade repeated, his voice cold. "Where can I find him?" Casus shook his head. "No one knows. He's a ghost. But he's planning something big, a total takeover of the lower sectors. He wants to create an army of enhanced criminals." Shade dropped Casus, who collapsed, gasping for breath. Shade looked at the trembling criminal, then at the terrified faces in the arena. "Listen to me, all of you!" Shade's voice boomed, echoing through the silent arena. "Anyone who uses the black blood, anyone who takes this shadow dust, anyone who works with the Architect, you will face me. And you will not be reborn." His words struck terror into the hearts of the criminals. The message was clear. The Shade was back, and he was more dangerous than ever. And he was coming for the Architect. Shade walked out of the Crimson Spire, leaving a stunned and terrified crowd behind. The city lights seemed to flicker with a renewed intensity, reflecting his resolve. He knew this was just the beginning of a long and bloody war. The Architect was a threat, a plague that needed to be eradicated, and Shade, the immortal revenant, was the one to do it. His resolve hardened. He would find the Architect, he would stop this madness, and he would reclaim the order of the underworld, one death at a time. This was more than just about his magnum now. This was about the balance of the city, about stopping a new, terrifying power from taking root. He would become the ultimate deterrent, the fear that kept the darkness at bay. Shade walked through the ravaged underworld, the devastation left by the shadow dust clear in every alley and ruined building. He saw the bodies of criminals, their faces contorted in agony, their veins black with the corrupted drug. He knew the Architect was behind this, experimenting with a twisted form of control. "This is worse than I thought," Shade muttered, his voice grim. He reached a hidden laboratory, a makeshift facility tucked away in the forgotten tunnels beneath the city. The air here was thick with a sickly sweet scent and the hum of strange machinery. Inside, he found a group of desperate scientists, seemingly forced to work for the architect, surrounded by vats of bubbling black liquid and bizarre experimental equipment. "Stop," Shade commanded, his voice echoing in the confined space. The scientists recoiled, their faces pale with fear. They looked at Shade with a mixture of terror and desperation. "He's making us do this," one scientist stammered, pointing a trembling hand towards a hidden chamber. "The architect, he controls us." Shade moved towards the chamber, pushing aside a heavy blast door. Inside, he found the architect. He was an imposing figure, cloaked in dark robes, his face obscured by shadows. He stood before a massive glowing console, manipulating holographic projections of the city, controlling the spread of the shadow dust. "So the Revenant comes to stop me." The architect's voice was deep, resonant, and filled with a chilling arrogance. "You cannot comprehend my vision. I am bringing true order to this chaos." "By poisoning the populace," Shade snarled, his magnum aimed at the architect. "By creating an army of mindless addicts." The architect chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "A necessary step. Control is the ultimate power, and I will reshape this city in my image." He pressed a button on his console, and the chamber was instantly filled with the architect's elite guards, soldiers enhanced by the shadow dust, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light, their movements disturbingly fast and strong. "Destroy him," the architect commanded. Shade roared and lunged forward, engaging the guards in a brutal close-quarters combat. His magnum blazed, tearing through their ranks, but these guards were different. They were fearless, their pain receptors dulled by the shadow dust, making them relentless. Meanwhile, Kale was in the hierarchy's central archives, searching for any information on the architect, anything that could reveal his identity or weakness. Xylos, his ocular sensors blinking rapidly, assisted him, accessing ancient data logs and forbidden files. "This architect figure, there's no record of him," Xylos stated, his multi-jointed fingers flying across the console. "He's a ghost in the system." Kale focused, channeling his ancient connection. He closed his eyes, and visions flooded his mind. He saw a brilliant but twisted scientist, obsessed with control, an outcast from a forgotten research program. He saw a powerful psychic energy, a corrupted mind behind the creation of the shadow dust. "He's not just a person," Kale said, opening his eyes. "He's a corrupted consciousness, projecting himself through a physical body. His true form is a psychic entity, manipulating others." Xylos processed this information, his data slate whirring. A psychic entity that would explain the lack of physical records and the mind-altering effects of the shadow dust. Kale continued, "He can be exposed. His physical body is a vessel. If we sever the connection to his psychic form, he'll be vulnerable." Back in the hidden laboratory, Shade was struggling. The shadow dust-enhanced guards were overwhelming him, their numbers seemingly endless. He took down one, and two more appeared. His armor was dented, and he was breathing heavily. "You cannot win, Revenant," the architect's voice echoed, filled with triumph. "My army is limitless." Just then, Kale's voice crackled through Shade's comms. "Shade, he's a psychic entity. His body is a vessel. Sever the connection to his psychic form." Shade, understanding, looked at the architect. He changed his tactics. Instead of targeting the guards, he focused a concentrated blast of energy from his magnum directly at the architect's console, the source of his physical projection. The console sparked and exploded, sending a shower of shrapnel across the chamber. The architect shrieked, a sound of pure agony. His physical form flickered, became transparent, and then dissolved into nothingness. The shadow dust-enhanced guards suddenly froze, their eyes losing their unnatural glow, their movements becoming sluggish and confused. The psychic link was severed. "He's gone," Shade roared, tearing through the now disoriented guards. The remaining guards, disoriented and no longer under the architect's psychic control, collapsed, their bodies seizing up. The black blood in their veins seemed to recede, leaving them weak and vulnerable. Shade systematically took them down, ensuring no one posed a threat. He then turned to the terrified scientists. "The architect is gone," Shade said, his voice softer now. "The shadow dust, is it reversible?" The lead scientist, trembling, nodded. "Yes, Revenant. With the psychic link broken, we can create an antidote. It will take time, but it's possible." Shade looked around the destroyed lab, then back at the unconscious scientists. He knew his work here wasn't done. The city still needed healing, and the shadow dust needed to be eradicated. He also knew this victory was largely due to Kale's unique abilities. "Good," Shade said. "Start working, and prepare for hierarchy assistance. Tell them the truth about the architect." Back on the hierarchy's orbital station, Kale felt the shift, the sudden silence where the architect's psychic presence had been. He knew Shade had succeeded. Xylos's optical sensors blinked. "Subject Shade reports success. The architect's psychic link has been severed. The shadow dust users are incapacitated." The hierarchy was in awe. Kale had once again proven his extraordinary value. He had not only uncovered a hidden enemy, but had also provided the means to defeat them. The antidote for the shadow dust was quickly developed by the scientists, under hierarchy supervision. It was a long and arduous process, but slowly the city began to heal. The addicts recovered, the black blood receded, and the reign of terror orchestrated by the architect came to an end. Kale, now a respected figure within the hierarchy, continued his journey with Shade. His abilities were constantly evolving, and his connection to the ancient power deepened with each passing day. He was becoming a truly unique being, a bridge between different realities, a force for change and understanding. One day, as they were overseeing the rehabilitation efforts in the lower sectors, Shade received a cryptic message. It was from Xylon, the cunning prisoner, who had since been released on probation for good behavior, though Shade still harbored suspicions. The message simply read, "The true architects of chaos are awakening, beyond the void, and they are coming for what you hold, Revenant." Shade looked at Kale, a grim expression on his face. This was not the end. It was merely the calm before the next storm. And Kale, the human who had transcended his origins, was at the heart of it all. The message from Xylon was unsettling. Shade knew it was a warning, a prelude to a new, perhaps even greater, threat. Kale, meanwhile, was grappling with a surge of fragmented memories from his past, triggered by the intense experiences with the Star Devourer. He found himself revisiting a childhood filled with fear and misunderstanding, a yearning for acceptance. One evening, Kale was meditating, trying to make sense of the overwhelming flow of ancient knowledge and personal memories. Shade was nearby, cleaning his magnum, his keen senses always alert. "I keep seeing my past," Kale murmured, his eyes closed. "Before all this. Before the synth. Before the lab." Shade paused, looking at Kale. "What do you see?" "My mother," Kale whispered. "She was always scared. Scared of me. Scared of what I might become." He opened his eyes, a look of profound sadness on his face. "She wanted me to stop hurting people. To try and be more like her and my dad, to help those in need." Shade simply listened, a rare moment of stillness for the usually restless Revenant. Kale shook his head, tears welling up. "No, but I realized it tonight. I messed up badly, Mum. I messed up badly for all these years. I just wanted to provide for you. To make Dad proud." He choked back a sob. "Honey, Dad was always proud of you. What you've done, I'm not sure he'd be proud of that, but he'd be proud of you even so. He'd know you'd see the light sooner or later." This was his mother's voice, clear as day, comforting him. Kale nodded, still hearing his mother's voice in his mind. He was driving out through the dark countryside now, a good distance from the city he used to inhabit. "I'm sorry, Mum, I'm really sorry. I won't hurt good people again. I swear. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll try and make things right. I'll protect the weak. I won't let good people get bullied. We'll go somewhere away from here, and I'll figure out how to do that. And we'll live together and be happy. I've been spending way too much time away from you, Mum. I'm sorry. It won't happen again." His mum was about to say something when a bright light hit them as they drove. Kale cursed and nearly swerved. What was that? The police? The military? Were the enforcers after him? He braced for impact. He opened his eyes and saw a very concerned dragon looking down on him. Shade had sat on the ground and pulled Kale into his lap, trying to cradle him and support his head while he'd been lost in his memories. "Are you okay?" I was back there, in my past, with my mother." He then looked at Shade, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. "I just wanted to make her proud, to make things right." Shade nodded slowly. "You are making things right, Kale, more than you know." He helped Kale sit up, a sense of quiet understanding passing between them. Kale's journey had been about external battles, but now, the true battle was within him, a struggle for self-acceptance and redemption. Days later, Kale was back in training, but this time, his movements were different. There was a new grace, a renewed purpose in every strike, every deflection. His memories, once a source of pain, were now a wellspring of strength, fueling his resolve to protect, to heal, to bring light into the darkness. Xylos appeared on the comms, his voice tinged with a mix of urgency and fascination. "Subject Shade, Kale, a new anomaly has been detected. A tear in space-time far beyond the known galaxy. It's emanating immense energy, and something else. A presence. It feels ancient, familiar." Shade and Kale exchanged a look. They knew what it meant. The true architects of chaos, the ancient threat Xylon had warned them about, were awakening. This was the beginning of their greatest challenge yet. Kale, now fully aware of his past and his purpose, felt a surge of determination. He had faced his inner demons, and now he was ready to face the cosmic ones. He looked at Shade, his loyal companion, his silent guardian. "Let's go," Kale said, his voice firm, ready for whatever lay ahead. "It's time to face them." Shade nodded, a grim smile on his face. He holstered his magnum, a glint of fierce anticipation in his eye. They were ready. The galaxy needed them. And they would answer the call, together, as the protectors of light in an ever-expanding darkness. Their legend, far from over, was just beginning its next, monumental chapter. The vastness of space shimmered, the stars twisting into impossible patterns, as Shade's ship soared through a newly discovered rift in reality. This was the anomaly Xylos had detected, a tear leading to a dimension beyond their understanding, a place Xylon's message had hinted at. The air within the ship crackled with an unseen energy, a testament to the raw power they were approaching. "The readings are off the charts, Shade," Xylos's voice, usually calm and composed, held a hint of apprehension. This isn't natural, it's a deliberate tear." Shade's single eye narrowed, focused on the swirling vortex ahead. Someone opened it, someone powerful. Kale, standing beside him, felt a strange resonance with the rift. The ancient power within him pulsed, not with fear, but with a deep, unsettling recognition. He saw flashes of colossal, abstract entities, beings of pure thought and energy, stirring from eons of slumber. These were the true architects of chaos, not mere villains, but primordial forces. "They're not corporeal beings," Kale murmured, his voice strained as he struggled to interpret the visions. "They exist beyond physical form. They manipulate reality itself." Shade grunted, his hand instinctively going to his magnum. "How do you fight something that isn't there?" "You don't," Kale replied, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. "You connect, you reason, you show them what they're doing." They crossed the threshold of the rift. The familiar stars vanished, replaced by an ethereal landscape of shifting colors and impossible geometries. Floating within this otherworldly space were immense, crystalline structures, pulsing with dark energy. These were the conduits, the anchors through which the architects of chaos exerted their influence on the physical universe. "These are their projections," Kale explained, pointing to the largest crystal. "Their way of interacting with our reality." Suddenly, the crystalline structures began to hum, and from them emerged shadowy figures, humanoid in shape, but composed of shifting, unstable energy. They were guardians, extensions of the architect's will, their movements fluid and terrifying. More guardians, Shade growled, his magnum already spitting fire. The battle that followed was unlike any they had faced. The shadowy guardians were immune to conventional weaponry, their forms simply absorbing energy blasts without effect. Shade's magnum, usually so devastating, seemed useless. Physical attacks are useless, Kale shouted, deflecting a shadow whip with a burst of his healing energy. We need to disrupt their energy. Kale channeled his power, focusing on the energy flowing within the guardians. He unleashed a wave of pure, concentrated ancient energy, washing over them. The shadowy forms flickered, destabilized, and then dissolved into harmless wisps of smoke. Shade stared, momentarily stunned. Your power, it's evolving even further. It's not just healing now, Kale replied, panting. It's balance. It restores what's corrupted. Even energy. They pressed forward, confronting more guardians, Kale using his unique ability to neutralize them while Shade cleared their path, using his raw strength to shatter physical obstacles. They moved towards the central, largest crystalline structure, the nexus of the architect's influence. As they neared the nexus, a voice echoed in their minds, ancient and resounding, filled with cold intellect and cosmic weariness. You trespass, mortal and immortal. Your reality is but a fleeting illusion. We are the true architects, here to dismantle the flawed designs. Your designs bring only destruction, Kale projected back, his mind pushing against the immense psychic pressure, chaos, suffering. Order through entropy, the voice replied, devoid of emotion, a necessary cleansing. Shade, feeling the psychic assault, roared in frustration. He slammed his fist against the crystalline structure, but it remained unyielding. How do we stop them, Kale? Shade demanded. Kale closed his eyes, drawing on the deepest wellsprings of his ancient connection. He understood the architects now. They were beings of ultimate order, but their order was absolute, leading to stagnation and eventual decay. They sought to reset the universe, to dismantle it and rebuild it perfectly, without the messy, unpredictable elements of life. They crave perfect order, Kale explained, his voice resonating with newfound power. They believe existence is flawed. We need to show them the beauty in imperfection. In life itself. He placed both hands on the crystalline nexus, channeling his pure, balancing energy into it. He projected visions, not of destruction but of creation. He showed them bustling cities, the laughter of children, the vibrant chaos of a living market, the evolving beauty of nebulae, the birth and death of stars in a natural cycle, the warmth of empathy, the resilience of hope. The crystalline structure began to pulse erratically, its dark energy clashing with Kale's purifying light. The ancient voice screamed in their minds, a sound of cosmic agony and confusion. These are inconsistencies, flaws, untidiness. These are life, Kale countered, pouring more energy into the nexus. They are the beauty of existence, the imperfections that make it worth living. The nexus vibrated violently, cracks appearing on its surface. The shadowy guardians, those still active, writhed in agony, their forms dissolving. The entire dimension of impossible geometries began to shimmer, destabilizing. The architects of chaos were being overwhelmed not by force but by a concept alien to them, the messy, beautiful reality of life. Their ancient, rigid minds couldn't comprehend the inherent value of imperfection. With a final, shattering pulse, the nexus exploded, not in destructive force, but in a burst of pure cleansing light. The dimension around them shimmered, then began to recede, pulling back, sealing the tear in reality. The architect's influence was being severed, their connection to their universe cut off. Shade's ship, buffeted by the receding energies, was pushed back through the rift, back into their own familiar galaxy. The stars were normal again, the silence of space replacing the cacophony of the other dimension. They're gone, Shade breathed, looking at Kale with profound awe. You defeated them, not with a weapon, but with understanding. Kale slumped against the console, exhausted but triumphant. His power had reached its peak, his connection to the ancient wellspring of balance, fully realized. He had faced cosmic entities, not by fighting, but by showing them the essence of life itself. Xylos's voice burst through the comms, filled with an unprecedented level of excitement. Subject Shade, Kale, the anomaly has vanished, the tier is sealed, and the energy readings they show a profound shift in cosmic balance. The galaxy is singing with new energy. The hierarchy, receiving Xylos's reports, erupted in joyous disbelief. Kale had not only saved their galaxy, but had brought about a cosmic renaissance, a new era of understanding. He was hailed as a universal savior, a legend whispered across countless worlds. Kale and Shade returned, not as conquering heroes, but as quiet observers of the changes they had wrought. Worlds that had once been ravaged by conflict now found peace. Species that had been on the brink of war now sought diplomacy. The very fabric of reality seemed subtly aligned towards creation and harmony. Kale, now a true cosmic anomaly, devoted his life to fostering peace and understanding across the galaxy. He traveled to war-torn planets, mediating disputes, healing ancient wounds, and teaching the importance of empathy and connection. His mere presence could soothe raging storms, both literal and metaphorical. Shade, the immortal revenant, remained by his side. His magnum, once a symbol of endless war, was now a tool of protection, used to defend Kale and those he sought to help. Shade had found his ultimate purpose, not in fighting battles for the hierarchy, but in guarding the one who could prevent them. His endless cycle of death and rebirth now served a higher calling. Xylon, having observed Kale's actions from afar, sent one last cryptic message. "You have changed the game, Kale. The universe is a vast place, and you have only just begun to discover its true nature." The journey of Kale and Shade became a legend, a living myth. They were the silent architects of peace, the guardians of harmony, the ones who reminded the galaxy that even in the darkest void, the light of understanding could prevail. Their story continued, an eternal testament to the power of transformation, connection, and the endless possibilities of a universe choosing life over chaos.